right, we're going to do more logic notes today. Today is the 8th, October 8th. We're going to start with an if-then statement. This is if I take notes, then I will understand what's going on notes. Okay, ready? Definition and symbolic form. It's going to be like 2 columns, guys. One's going to be the definition side. One's going to be the symbolic form side. You need to know the symbolic form. Don't just blow that part off. Make sure you're writing it down. Okay? You're going to really need this for tonight's homework, so don't lose this notes either. All right, definition. Law of syllogism. Okay? Law of syllogism, 2 or more conditional statements put together to form a conclusion by combining the hypothesis of one statement with the conclusion of the other. So if P, then Q. So if P, Q, then R. Yep. So we can say if P, then R. Mm-hmm. You can ask. That's not a question. Okay. So law of syllogism, an example could be like, if this is a pen, I can write with it. If I'm writing with something, then I know how to write. So if I'm using a pen, then I know how to write. Okay. That wasn't the best example I've come up with, so I'm not going to write that down. All right. We're going to talk about negation. I'm going to move this up. Negation. It's making something negative. Okay? See that little squiggle right there? That tells me something's negative. You say negative P. That's negation. Okay? So if I don't take notes, then I will not understand what's going on in notes. That's negating it, negation. Okay? A statement that has the opposite meaning of an original statement, often constructed by adding a not to the original statement. Yes, I can slow down. Okay. Mr. Bergman, can you pull out 2 copies of the quiz? I think it's in that top drawer. No, the file. Yep. Okay. I always want to hurry up, and I remembered Lauren told me to slow down, so I'm going to try. Mm-hmm. Yeah? Not, ignore this part. Not Q, P. You're like, what is inside that little circle? I have no idea. That symbol. There's lots of seats up front. People happen to be absent today for seats up front. So if you can't see in the back, feel free. Okay. Can I move on? No, I'm trying to go too fast again. Okay. I will stop eventually. I'm going to read it one more time for negation. A statement that has the opposite meaning of a given statement, often constructed by adding a not to the original statement. Okay. I'm not going to remove any of those. I'm just going to move it up to here. But I am going to start with the next one because I see a lot of people not doing anything. Inverse. Not the hypothesis, or not P, to not the conclusion, or not Q. The negation of an if-then statement done by negating both the if and the then parts of a given statement. All right, so let's start writing in an example. Okay, so once you have that written down, you're going to write if I don't take notes, then I will not understand what's going on. Okay, and this is an inverse. Gonna move it up. Everybody got the law of syllogism? So I can move it up. Speak now. Okay. So inverse, if I don't take notes, then I will not understand what's going on. If I don't take notes, then I will not understand what's going on. See how we put a not for both the hypothesis and conclusion? Okay, we got it, or we need another second? Okay, I need everybody to have this example because I'm going to take this example away. Do we need another minute, or are we okay? All right, nobody's saying anything, so I'm assuming you're okay. I'll put it back up at the end if you want it. Converse. Made by switching the hypothesis and conclusion for the then conclusion of a given statement, Q to P. So my example for converse, as you're writing that down, I'm going to write down the example. For converse, if I understand what's going on, then I took notes. I am taking notes. That's our example. We switch the hypothesis and conclusion. What are you going to remember so you don't mix up inverse and converse? Converse are skater shoes. In skateboarding, you do a flip. So converse is flipping. Inverse is not. You put knots in. Converse is flip. We got two more, guys. Two more, but make sure you have the example for converse down before I move on. Lauren, if I scoot it up, would it help? Yeah. So you can see over everybody's head. Is that good? Yeah. Okay. The next one is going to be called contrapositive, if you want to try to spell that. Contrapositive. Okay, we ready? Good. Contrapositive. A combination of the inverse and converse if-then statement. Not Q, not P. So, if I don't understand, good, what's going on, then I didn't take notes or did not take notes. See, you've got those knots in there, but you still flipped it. Contrapositive is both. A combination of inverse and converse of an if-then statement. Not Q, not P. Not conclusion, not hypothesis. If I don't understand what's going on, then I did not take notes. The last one is going to be biconditional. Biconditional. You ready? Yeah. Biconditional. When a statement and its converse are both true, we say P if and only if Q. So let's talk about if our statements are true. So our initial statement, if I take notes, then I will understand what's going on. Your converse is, if I know what's going on, then I took notes. I don't think either of those are necessarily true every time, but let's say they're true this time, and we'll make a biconditional statement. So, I took notes if and only if I understand what's going on. Good, bad? Okay. So now, Mr. Bergman's going to pass out the homework. Yeah. And we're going to try number 1 together. But yes, ma'am. It's P if and only if Q. So there's not a good symbolic thing, so I literally wrote the words if and only if. If and only if. Mr. Bergman, can I have one before you pass it? Okay. Make sure you have this written down, and then we're going to go over number 1 together. I'm going to go over number 1 together. After I go over number 1. Okay. It's real. There's 6 things on here.
Like 6 in each.
You'll have like. Okay. All right. Everybody got the notes? Okay, we're gonna do the homework. Okay, we're gonna do number 1 together. I am basically shortening your homework, so you should pay attention to this. Okay, the first thing we're gonna do, I personally can't write this small. If you can, that's fine. I'm gonna do mine on a separate sheet of paper because I can't. Okay? All students at Lincoln High School take an English class. Is that true or false? True, they do. You have to. There's 4 years of English required. You have to take it. So, if all students, let's change this. If you're a student at Lincoln High School, then you are taking an English class. So far, so good? If you are a student at Lincoln High School, then you're taking an English class. This is what we call our conditional statement. An if-then form. Okay? Or you can put it there if you can write that small. Okay, now we're going to look at inverse. So inverse means what again? Look at your notes. What does inverse mean? We're going to put what in there? Anybody? Anybody? Not the opposite. We're going to put the word not in there. If you are not a student at Lincoln High School, then you are not taking an English class. Oh man. Okay, I have nots in both those places. Okay, inverse. Is this true or false? Because why? Can somebody give me an example of why it's false? Good. Okay. So, we know the conditional statement is P to Q, and it's true. We know the inverse is not P to not Q, and we know it's false. Good? Okay, next we're going to do converse. Converse means you do what? Remember the shoes. You flip it, thank you. If you are taking an English class, then you are a LHS student. This is Q to P, and I will put it up here so you guys can actually see. And this is false, right? Because we could be taking an English class and be going to Ipsy. So if you're not an LHS student, then you're not taking an English class. But I'm not an LHS student, but I go to Huron High School, and I'm taking an English class. All right. Okay, contrapositive. If you are not taking an English class, then you are not a LHS student. And that is not Q to not P, and it is false. I'm going to move it up so you can see it. I like seeing people write this down. Make sure you're writing it down. I'm doing part of your homework for you. What has to be true for you to use a biconditional statement? I think it says on your paper. What does it say? It says converse and your conditional, your first statement. Both must be true. Are your converse and your first statement both true? Our converse is false, right? So can we come up with an example of why the biconditional cannot work? Say you could go, I take English and I go to Huron High School. That's an example, a counter example we call it. If you're going to do a biconditional statement though, it is P if and only if Q. So I'm going to give you an example of that using this, but know that you don't have to write it down if the converse and the regular are not true. So you would say, you are a LHS student if and only if you take an English class. But remember, this doesn't work because the converse is not true. Conditional, the if and only if. Okay, and the rest of this is going to be homework. I am going to stop these notes. I would, just so you remember it.